peace beyond the stars. It began with silence, a silence so deep it felt like the universe itself was holding its breath. Then came the scream of metal, tearing through the void like a wounded beast, and within that chaos, I fell. My name is Kael, pilot of the Human Defense Fleet, or at least I used to be, until that night, when the stars burned red and every command in my head turned to noise. We were ordered to strike the Oralus sector. Again, another mission, another necessary slaughter. But as the battle erupted, something inside me broke. I saw the enemy fleet shimmer across the void, elegant and bright, like living flame. And for a single heartbeat, I wondered, do they fear us the way we fear them? Then my ship was hit. Fire swallowed everything. Blackness took me before I even had time to scream. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't dead. I was breathing. Barely. A voice spoke through the haze. Soft, careful, strange. Don't move. You'll make it worse. It wasn't human. The tone was lighter, resonant, but warm. I tried to reach for my blaster, but my arm refused to obey. Pain flooded through me, sharp and blinding. Then she appeared. A girl. Her face half hidden beneath a cracked mask, eyes glowing faint violet in the dim light. "You're human," she said quietly. Her words were broken, her accent strange, but she spoke my language. And I hated that it sounded gentle. "Why am I alive?" I rasped. She didn't answer right away. Her fingers trembled as she pressed a sealant patch to my wound. "Because killing you would make me no different than them." Them. The word cut through me like shrapnel. When the pain faded, I realized I was lying in a hollow beneath the ground. Metal scraps, broken tools, faint light filtering through the cracks above. She was not a soldier. Her hands were rough from work, not war. "Who are you?" I managed to say. "Lyra, farmer, daughter of a dead officer. And you?" "Kael, pilot, son of a dead one." Something flickered in her eyes then. Understanding. Maybe pity. It didn't matter. We were enemies, both carved from the same grief. I should have hated her, but I didn't. Days passed, or maybe it was only hours. Time lost meaning inside that shattered shelter. She brought me water, patched my suit, fixed my comlink. I told myself I'd leave as soon as I could stand. But the truth? I was afraid to go, because every time she looked at me, I saw something I hadn't seen in a century of war. Hope. The first time we argued, it wasn't about survival. It was about truth. "You people started this," I snapped. "You attacked us first." Her eyes hardened. "No, you did. We only defended what was ours." "That's a lie. So is yours." The silence after that felt heavier than gunfire. Later that night, she spoke again, quieter this time. "My father said, 'War is a circle. Everyone believes they're standing on the right side.'" She glanced at me. "Do you know which side you're on?" I wanted to answer, but I didn't know anymore. Then came the noise, a distant hum, steady, mechanical, growing closer. Search drones. If they found us, both of us would die. Lyra's hand touched my shoulder. "Can you run?" "Not yet." Her voice trembled. "Then I'll distract them." "No," I said sharply. "You'll be killed."
She smiled, a small, reckless smile that didn't belong in a world like this. Someone has to lie for the truth to live. And before I could stop her, she was gone, into the light, into danger. I dragged myself to the edge of the bunker, pulse hammering, vision spinning. The drone's beams swept across the valley. Then, a blinding flash tore through the valley. Her scream was lost in the sound, but she survived. I didn't see her fall, but I knew. Somewhere out there, she was alive. And as I stared into the smoke, I realized something horrifying. This war wasn't about victory anymore. It was about silence. And Lyra had just broken it.
They told us the enemy was born from darkness, that they came to destroy us, to erase everything human. But that was before I saw one of them bleed, cry, and fight to save me. That was before I met Lyra. Days after the drones attacked, we found a rhythm in our silence. She worked on repairing my comlink, and I pretended to sleep. Neither of us trusted the other, yet neither of us could walk away. One night, she whispered, "You should have left while you could." "I tried," I said, "but I don't even know which way home is anymore." Her lips tightened. "Maybe that's not a bad thing." She reached into a metal crate, rusted, covered in dust, and pulled out something strange. A small, black box with human markings. "I found this years ago," she said. "My father took it from a human base before he died. He said it was the reason the war never ends." Her voice cracked slightly. I never believed him, until I opened it. Inside was a collection of files, transmissions, recordings, orders signed by both human and Auralis leaders. I listened. Every word cut deeper than any wound. They had been working together, trading weapons, sharing resources, keeping the war alive. For profit. Lyra was shaking. They lied to all of us. They built an entire century of hate, just to stay in power. I didn't want to believe it, but denial felt childish now. The faces of every soldier I'd seen die flashed behind my eyes. All for nothing. I can send this data to the human fleet. If they hear this, they'll kill you before they listen, Lyra interrupted. They'll kill both of us. She was right. The truth didn't save people, it exposed them. That night, sleep refused to come. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the old generator. Somewhere, Lyra was awake too. I could feel it. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a breath. What if we ended it? I turned toward her shadow. Ended what? The war. Her words hung in the air like a spark in oxygen. Dangerous. Impossible. Beautiful. There's a trans-broadcast tower, she said. Old, abandoned. It can reach every channel, human and Auralis. If we send the truth there, they'll find us before we get halfway. Maybe, she said, but if we make it, they'll never silence us again. I looked at her, this girl who should have been my enemy, and saw not madness, but clarity. She wasn't naive. She was tired, just like me. We left before dawn. The surface was dead and quiet. Blackened metal bones jetted from the ground, remnants of forgotten wars. Every few hours, drones passed overhead. We hid beneath wreckage, barely breathing. Every heartbeat, a countdown. Once, she stumbled and fell. I caught her. For a moment, our faces were close enough that I could feel her trembling. "You're shaking," I said. "Not from fear, from remembering." By nightfall, the tower appeared, a spire of twisted steel against the dying light. Half buried,
half alive. We entered through a cracked hatch. Dust, static, silence. It smelled like history, burned, buried, and forgotten. Lyra powered up the console. Sparks flew, lights flickered. The system whirred, alive for the first time in decades. "This is it," she said, her hands trembling over the keys. "Once we start, there's no turning back." I nodded, and then a sound. Footsteps. Metal boots on steel. Someone else was here. Lyra's eyes met mine. Her voice broke the silence, cold and certain. "They found us."
I remember the sound first, the hum of the tower, deep and rhythmic, like the heartbeat of something ancient. The air trembled as we stepped inside, the walls alive with flickering blue veins of energy. Lyra walked beside me, silent, her eyes filled with the kind of fear that doesn't scream, it whispers. We had the coordinates. The signal core was at the top, the only place powerful enough to pierce both worlds' communication shields. If we could send it, the truth would spread. The war could end. But trust is fragile in a world built on lies. Halfway up, the silence shattered. "Kael!" she shouted, and before I could turn, I saw him, Commander Jareth, my former mentor, the man who once told me peace was a weakness. His gun was already raised. "You think you can end 100 years of blood with a single message?" His voice dripped with venom. "I think truth deserves a chance," I said. He laughed, cold, hollow. Truth built these walls. Truth buried millions." And then he aimed at Lyra. Instinct took over. I lunged forward, pulling her down as the blast tore through the air. The beam hit the wall, scattering sparks that rained like stars. We fell behind a console, hearts pounding in unison. Lyra's voice trembled. "He won't let us send it," I whispered. "We don't need his permission." Then something inside me shifted, a spark, a defiance older than the war itself. We moved together, wordless, as if the tower itself guided our hands. She rerouted the energy cells while I connected the core. The lights flared, pulsing, brighter, faster, alive. But Jareth was still there, bleeding, furious, unstoppable. He lunged toward us. And then Lyra did something I'll never forget. She turned, met his eyes, and said, "You were right. Truth buried millions, but lies will bury billions." Her hand slammed the final switch. The tower roared. A surge of light erupted, a scream of energy that split the sky. Every communicator, every screen, every soul in the system saw the same thing, a transmission revealing that the war had been engineered, by both sides. A silence followed, a silence heavier than any explosion. Jareth fell to his knees. You've doomed us all." "No," I said quietly, as the tower began to collapse. "We've freed them." Lyra grabbed my hand. The floor cracked beneath us, the light swallowing everything. And as we fell, I saw her face, terrified, yet alive with hope. The kind of hope that can rebuild a universe. They said the universe went silent for 27 seconds. No gunfire, no engines, no commands. Just silence, like every voice in every world held its breath at once. When the signal reached the colonies, chaos followed. Fleets turned against their own leaders. Armies refused to march. Generals destroyed the archives that chained them to the lie. For the first time in 100 years, the sky was free of fire. I woke up beneath the ruins of the tower. The air was heavy with dust and static. Lyra was there, her pulse weak but steady. Her eyes opened slowly, searching for something beyond the pain. "Did it work?" she whispered. "Yes," I said. "They know now." She smiled faintly, a fragile human thing that made the war feel like a dream.
but the sound of distant engines reminded me that dreams rarely last. A patrol hovered above the debris. Human, not alien. Soldiers descended. Their commander removed his helmet. His face was pale, uncertain. "Kael Varen," he said. "By order of the Interplanetary Council, you're under arrest for treason." I didn't resist. Lyra's hand tightened around mine. Her lips moved, barely audible. "Don't let them break you again." They took us to different cells, on different ships. Days blurred into weeks. I heard rumors through the static, protests on both planets, peace demonstrations, soldiers laying down their arms. The war machine was dying, but peace, as always, demanded new sacrifices. One night, a voice came through the comm in my cell. Soft, familiar. "Kael, can you hear me?" "Lyra," she said. "They think they've won, but we started something they can't stop. The truth is spreading, like light through cracks." Her tone was calm, resolute, the kind of calm that follows fire. "Where are you?" I asked. "Somewhere safe," she said. A pause. Then, quieter. "Don't forget what we fought for." The line cut off. That was 3 years ago. They call it the Age of Unveiling now. A fragile peace built on the ashes of 2 worlds. I was pardoned, eventually. Lyra disappeared into the outer colonies. Some say she farms the red soil again under a quiet sky. But every night, when the stars pulse in rhythm, that same heartbeat from the tower, I know she's out there. Still fighting. Still hoping. And maybe, just maybe, still waiting.